Hello and welcome to my Getting Started with C tutorial course. This first episode will just be setting up the C compiler and making sure that you can actually run your C programs on your computer. If you have a Linux machine or an Apple machine, I've got links in the description about how to do this, and you can just follow them and then skip the rest of this tutorial. However, if you are a Windows user and you don't already have a C compiler set up, then you will have to watch the rest of this video because it is a little bit more complicated to set up a C compiler on Windows. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is come to this website, msys2.org. I'll put the link in the description. And basically what this is it's a software family. It's a few different programs that all work together to allow us to access the C compilers on Windows. Now, there is a different way you can compile C programs on Windows. Actually, there's a few, but the main other one would be to use something called Visual Studio, and that is an option. However, it's a little bit more heavyweight, and I don't think it's as beginner-friendly, even though this is somewhat complicated to install. So like I say, if you've already got a C compiler, you can skip to the next video. However, if you need a way to run the actual code on your computer, then keep watching this. So msys2, and what we're going to do is we're just going to scroll down until we see this download the installer option. And we're just going to click that and save it to wherever we want to put it. I normally just put installers in the downloads folder as they are pretty small and we need to delete them after we've finished using them anyway. And once it's finished downloading, you run that program. We run that program, okay? And it should bring you to a setup prompt like this. So let's work our way through it. First of all, it's asking us where we want to install this program or software environment. In order to be tidy and keep track of everything that I've got, I like to put my programming environments in a custom folder. So under this PC and your C drive, I normally like to create a new folder and call it environment. Once you have a folder called environment on your C drive, I like to go in and for each new software tool I install, I create a new folder. So in this case, I'm going to create a folder called msys. Once we've done that, I'm going to select the folder and we'll just check the path. C environment msys. That is where we want to install it. And then just click next. We don't need to change anything here, so we'll also just click next. Now we wait for it to finish installing, and when it does, come back and we'll keep going. Once the software has finished installing, simply click finish. Make sure that this run msys2 now is selected because we will need that prompt immediately. So click finish, and it should bring up another terminal command line prompt like this. Now for this tutorial, I'm going to assume you're somewhat familiar with using command line environments. I'll just make this text a bit bigger so it's easy for you to read. Okay, so what do we do next? Well, now we actually need to install the software package that allows us to compile things. So if we come down here and look at their tutorial provided on the msys homepage, you'll see this step 6. You will probably want to install some tools like the mingw GCC to start compiling. Now, what does that mean? Well, GCC is, well, it's sort of hard to say, but is the new the new C compiler, new spelt GNU like the animal. Okay, and this is like the most famous and most often used compiler for C programs, which turns our human readable code into machine understandable binaries. So to install this, what we're going to do, we're going to come down here and copy this command, pacman-s mingw64 UCRT x8664 GCC. Now that's a bit complicated, but it's essentially just a package name saying, can we download the GCC compiler from the mingw project? You don't really need to understand what that means, just know that this is where we get it. So this is the command, it's on their package page, on the msys2.org homepage. You're going to right click and copy that. Now we're going to come back to this window that it just pulled up once we finished installing it, and we're just going to right click paste into the window. And we're going to run that command. It'll take a second, and then it will try and find a package which is relevant. So at the moment, the best version is 2.39 on the bin utils. So it's going to say there's 15 packages related to this, and it's going to tell us our download size and the total installation size once we've finished. And yes, we want to install it. So just put capital Y and hit enter, and it will begin to resolve all of these downloads and start installing them onto your system. You can see here, it's kind of fancy. We've got little progress bars. It shouldn't take too long because it's only tiny files that we're talking about. So when it's finished downloading, it'll switch you back out at this prompt. And now we should be able to do GCC -- version and hit this enter. And so if your GCC is installed correctly, you should get this message printed out or something similar. It should just tell you what your GCC version is, as well as some information about where it came from, its licensing, and all that kind of stuff. Now, currently, I don't believe that this is set up to work with our normal Windows command line environment. So if we close this window and search for CMD or command prompt and open up your normal Windows command prompt, typing GCC probably won't work. You see, we get a message that says GCC is not recognized as an internal or external command. So what does that mean? Well, when we run a command on the Windows command line, it actually just searches for a program with this name. Because searching your whole machine at once would be really slow and take way too much time, Windows only searches a few specific folders. And that means that this program that we've just installed is not installed in one of the programs that Windows searches. So in order to fix that, we need to change our environment variables. So first thing we need to do is open up our File Explorer and go to our C drive. On there, we need to go to the environment folder we just created and then into MSys. As you can see, there's a lot of different things going on in here. There's plenty of folders with plenty of random stuff in it. But what we're trying to do is find the folder which contains our GCC program. Problem is, there's no easy way of knowing exactly where that might be. So what I suggest you do is inside your MSys root folder, we go up to the top right and we search for GCC and hit enter. It will take a second and then it'll start to try and find a whole bunch of different things. And as you can see here, it's found gcc.exe. This is the program that we're looking for. So scroll through your list until you see this program. Right click on it and click Open File Location. And this will take us to the folder that contains our GCC tool. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of other things in here. And these are all tools to help us compile C programs or debug them or whatnot. This folder has a specific path, and this is the folder path that we need to tell Windows to check in to find this program. So, coming up to the top bar here and right-click copying that to your clipboard is necessary. Next, open the Windows search and search for Environment, and you'll have an option called Edit the System Environment Variables. If you're on an older version of Windows, it might be called something slightly different, but we're looking for an option to change environment variables. Open that up and you'll get a window that looks like this. Then we're going to come down here and click Environment Variables. From there, we're going to look under our System Variables tab. There's a whole bunch here, but the one we're looking for is one labeled Path. Hit Edit. This is a list of all of the different folders that your computer checks for when you try and run a command on the command line. So in the top right, we're going to click New, and then we're just simply going to paste that path that we just copied and hit Enter. Now clicking OK, we're going to click OK again to apply those changes. Coming back to your command prompt, you need to close it to be able to refresh the new path changes. So closing it and then starting CMD again will bring up new command prompt. Now typing GCC --version into your normal Windows command prompt should work. And as you can see, we have access to it here. And that's basically it. That's all you really need to do to have a C compiler working on Windows. However, if you don't already have a way of editing your code, you'll also need to set that up now. Now, there's lots of different free code editors out there that you can use, but if you don't have one, I recommend getting this one called Visual Studio Code. It's super lightweight, it's free, it's open source, and it runs smoothly, even though it is a bit of a RAM hog. And it will run on anything. So you can just click your download button and install it. And once you install it, you'll get something a bit like this. And we will be using that in the next episode in order to type our code and actually get things compiled. So that's it for setting it up with C. It's pretty straightforward. There shouldn't be too many hiccups with it. And like I say, if you have troubles, just try and go back and watch again and see if you missed something. But it should work fairly straightforward first time. So yes, I'll see you in the next episode where we'll actually get to write some code.